This is a spider plant. What is really cool about spider plants is that they produce flowers, but they are also able to produce clones, which will grow on these stems. Those are the clones of my spider plant. I just put them in water, and you can see they have grown roots over a course of almost 1 week. And what is really great about those plants and makes them very suitable for experiments is that they all have the same genetics. So I will now proceed to place them each in an equal pot with an equal amount of soil, and then let's continue. All of those 9 plants that were rooted well have been potted, and I will now water them all with a syringe full of water, 50 milliliters. They will always receive the same amount of water to make sure that their environmental variables don't change, except for the stuff that is actually the part of the experiment. So I will now water them all in the same way, and then continue. Okay, so I have 1 plant that is rather large, 4 rather small plants, as well as 4 plants that are both of sort of, well, all 4 of them are of sort of equal growth, as you can see, medium height. And I will choose those 4 for the main experiments. Plant number 5 will actually go on the toilet. You can see it's about 13 centimeters, or the other side has inches, which is kind of handy, or just over 5 inches across. And you can see the approximate height is just below 7 inches, or about 13 centimeters. My toilet has no window, so the only source of light will be the artificial light from 2 40 watts light bulbs for about 1 hour a day. So it should be pretty obvious what's going to happen to that plant, but take a guess. Plant number 4, as you can see here, will have to grow outdoors. That means the plant is exposed to the weather, the temperature, and also ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Both the mother plant as well as the little clones have never been grown outdoors, so they were never really exposed to UV radiation, as the window glass shields UV radiation quite well. So let's see what happens to this plant outside. You can see it's about 6 inches and probably just 11 centimeters wide. Plant number 3 will grow on the other side of the window, so with nice steady temperatures and no UV radiation. It is about 5.5 inches, and that would be just about 14 centimeters maybe. And across it is maybe, yeah, just about 14 centimeters, or what's that, maybe 6 inches or so. Plant number 2 will actually have to grow next to the primary uranium ore displays here. And I'll just put in my dosimeter, my Gamma Scout. And you will see we have just about 50 microsieverts here, more like 40 to 50. But the thing is that almost all of the uranium ore is in boxes, so there's hardly any radon in this area. So all radiation that the plant will receive will be heart beta and gamma radiation. This plant is about 2 to 8, so I'd say, yeah, about 6 inches wide, and yeah, also just about 6 inches high, and looks like this. Keep in mind that the radiation in this place is about 300 times normal background radiation. But will it really do anything to the plant? You will see. Last but not least, this little plant here. I'll have to measure it beforehand. It is about 16 centimeters, 17 centimeters high, and yeah, just about 7 inches wide, and looks like this. And this plant will go into this bucket full of bulk uranium ore. So I put my Gamma Scout in there. You can see we have about 80 microsieverts in here, which sets off the alarm. So it's not that much. If it was a rich uranium ore, we would have a couple of thousand microsieverts in here. But it's just 70 microsieverts, so it's not that much. But the whole point of this setup is, as compared to the setup next to the mineral boxes, I can't get the dosimeter back up. The whole point of this setup is that those rocks are not shielded or anything, so there will actually be radon collecting in this bucket. I will seal this bucket in a minute once the plant is inside. And the question is, plants are known to take up harmful substances such as carbon dioxide, of course, which they require during photosynthesis, but also other harmful substances within the air. But will they also be able to take up radon, the noble gas? Who knows? If they do, they should turn radioactive. I will also measure the radon amount by placing some charcoal, activated charcoal down here. Radon is heavier than air, so it's always a good idea to place the object that is to be measured as low as possible, because radon will collect on the bottom. Then a little plant will go in there. So the plant will sit somewhat on top of all the rocks, but it should still receive quite a bit of radon, and especially the soil should take up some radon as well, I suppose. So let's see what happens. So my bucket is covered with a see-through foil. I pinched in some holes to allow some air to get to the plant, but most likely not much radon will escape through those holes or the foil itself, because as I said, radon should collect on the bottom if there's not much stir from the air, and this will be prevented by the seal. So this plant will grow in a nice sunny spot. I won't need to water it often, because this sort of works like a greenhouse. And if I need to water it, I can always do it with a longer syringe, or a syringe with a needle through one of the holes. So I can just leave this sealed for a few weeks and see what happens. Unless the plant undergoes some weird changes, which are obvious to the naked eye, in which case I will take it out earlier to do measurements on it. This experiment will run over the course of many weeks, of course. I will post video updates to what happens to the plants, but I would also like to make this a bit interactive. So if you want to guess what will happen to those plants, I'd really appreciate if you posted your ideas in a comment. Also, you saw that I have some plants left, so if you have some other interesting experiments or places where I could place those plants, just feel free to let me know. Just don't tell me to poison them or anything, because I don't really want them to die, so it has to be something reasonable that will be not just murdering them, okay? So what will happen to this plant? Plant number 5, the toilet plant. That's how it looks like now. What will happen? Or the plant that is outside, plant number 4. What will happen to this plant that is exposed to UV radiation? And plant number 3 that is inside on the windowsill, getting the best possible environment. And plant number 2 that has to grow in an area with 50 microsieverts an hour next to the uranium ore. And plant number 1 that will be exposed to radon and probably take it up, or not, who knows? Do you know? So this is what your response could look like. Like what happens to plant 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I'd really appreciate if you'd play along and give me your ideas. Thanks, and I'll keep you updated.